It's Prince White, and I'm a filmmaker and of Duca Media Films. We are based in Philadelphia, PA. And I'm here today to introduce you to our most recent project, Skin and Blood. And we are here to solicit your support. Skin and Blood is a project that we believe in as we are determined to be a part of a movement, which is more of trying to tell a story of the suffering of our brothers and sisters in Africa through the sex slaves and human trafficking. So $1 will go a long way. We need your help, we need your support, and we are asking you to support our project. Human suffering, triumph, love. These are the type of stories that we have to tell to most of our people who follow us and watch our movies, because the human story is very unique. There are people out there who may not have what you have, but if you told a story from your own perspective, what you went through, it might be able to help someone out there who's also going through similar story or similar experience. And most of our people who've gone through all of these hardship, let's take for example, it was like a few years back, I think 2 or 3 years ago, when we went through this whole episode of people being kidnapped, people being taken away from their various countries into another country where they would work as sex slaves and they would work as slaves. One of the countries that you read about or you saw on the news was Libya, where some of our brothers and sisters from Liberia were taken into Libya on the basis of working and getting paid. But in actuality, in reality, what was actually happening was they were taking them away from the country, promising them good life. But when they got to Libya, they met something different. They were treated as slaves. And that's just not Liberia, but other West African countries, and it was all over sub-Saharan Africa, where people are taken from their families and they're taken away from their homes, they're taken away from their loved ones and taken away into other countries where they will work as sex slaves and as slaves. It still gave you that whole idea of, people who still want to have monopoly or maybe control over a certain group of people. And that just to say African people were looked at as, I don't know the terminology that I can give it right now, but if you look at Africa is a very beautiful continent. It's a very beautiful continent. Like the countries in Africa, the people of Africa are very beautiful people. We need to now look at them as human beings. And not just to say, during slavery, it was the same thing. People were those brothers and sisters that were taken away from their countries and brought overseas, they were looked at as animals. And just to be honest with you, we should now start to look at brothers and sisters or our fellow man as equals. Show them respect, show them love. It's about the suffering of the people of Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. So you would think that slavery is done with, but in this day and age, slavery is still going on. We have over 40 million people who are still in slavery up to now. So we feel like this should not be the case in the 21st century, where we are talking about how can we live cohesively as human beings. Not, I'm working for you, I'm your slave. No, this should not be the topic that we have to talk about right now. We have to talk about love, compassion for each other. So this movie is all about being throwing light on what is happening in sub-Saharan Africa and other parts of the world. It's a global issue. It's a social issue. How can you help your brother or sister to triumph over his own personal demons? And I think now that Africans are beginning to recognize what they are capable of doing. Young African filmmakers, young African writers, African American writers, African American filmmakers, Africa in the diaspora. We all have this one goal of being able to produce our own stories, write our own stories, tell our own stories. Because it's very important, as we tell our stories, we tell our story from our own perspective and not from other perspectives. Because if I'm telling my story, I'll be very capable of telling you and giving you facts of who I am, where I'm from. And those are very, very essential to how we tell our stories. Because if I give my story to somebody else, they might take it and tell it in a different way from their own perspective, the way they see it, to suit them. But if I told you my story, I'm telling it from my own perspective. I'm telling you my story from my own experience. So it's very important that our African filmmakers tell stories from their own experiences. Skin and Blood is just not a Ducal Media film alone. It's a film that has brought together some great filmmakers, some great writers, and actors, actresses, and you name it. We've brought on board a lot of professionals who have come with their expertise and their professionalism to make the story what we want the story to be. So right now we have our project manager, who is Tito, Mr. Tito Irizarry. He's Puerto Rican. So you see, as we tell this story, and I'm going to break it down a little bit, because it's bringing together people from different walks of life, where we all have this one vision and wanting to tell a story based on this one vision. So we have Tito, who is our project manager. We also have Lou Johnson, who is an African American, a great veteran writer, who's also a co-writer with me, and he's a very, very, very great writer, and a genius, I would like to call him, because he's been at his craft for a very long time. Robert Katrina, who's he's a Hollywood actor, he's on board. We have Eric Slodowsko. He's also a great actor. He's local, but he's been in so many other films as well. And we also have Cynthia Nazardin. Cynthia she's a French-speaking actress based in Paris, but she's from the Republic of Ivory Coast, where the film is also going to be filmed as well. She's a very unique actress, very brilliant actress, and we are very happy to be working with her. We also have Joyce Mitchell. She's also a unique, beautiful actress who is based in Philadelphia. And also Mr. Stafford Chavez. He's also a brilliant actor. He's been around for a little while now. He's been in a couple of films, great films. You can look him up. But he's a very unique, great actor as well. And we are hoping that we can showcase these people in due time, where they will be able to talk about themselves and show you who they are and tell you who they are and their story as well. Because through this film, we want to be able to tell individual stories as well. Dazi's son, he's a Liberian, but he's an actor. And the good thing about Dazi is he's done a lot of great films that includes martial arts. But I'm trying to bring him on board where he will also exhibit his talent from a different perspective. Where you're gonna put him in a different situation where he can actually show you the kind of actor he is. But he's a very great actor as well. And we have Frank Atus, a Liberian actor, but he's a Nollywood actor who's been around for a very long time as well. A couple of films he's done, so many films he's done, countless films in Nollywood. If you know Nollywood is I think is the second largest film industry in the world, next to Hollywood. So he's from that industry. We have Jolie Garrett, a great actor. I've worked with him in the past. Wayne Shearer. So Wayne Shearer I also worked with on Muda. He's a very great actor. And I'm very opportune and happy as well to be working with him this time around. Shamar Carson. Shamar is also someone I've worked with in the past, and I'm very excited to be working with as well. But I can tell you one thing: we've brought together a diversified group of people who have come together to work for a common goal, which is to make sure we all shine the light or expose what's happening in sub-Saharan Africa and around the world, which is through this film. This film is going to talk about human trafficking. It's going to talk about sex slavery. So the film is very unique to this time. And I would like to say in a nutshell that we pretty much cannot do this without collective efforts. We cannot do this without the cohesive effort of everybody who's on board this project. But equally so, we cannot accomplish this goal without you. We need your support as well. And I think that's one of the things we want to also interject into this video. As we talk about the project, we want you to be a part of this project. We want you to help us produce this project, so people who don't have ideas of what is happening in Africa and around the world as it concerns human trafficking will now begin to see clearly for themselves what's been transpiring in Africa, which is not a good thing at all, because many of our brothers and sisters are dying. Some are crying every day as we speak right now. Someone is being taken away from their parents or their family with the promise of good life, but actually they're being taken into slavery. We must stop slavery now. Slavery in this day and age is not allowed. Every man must be given an opportunity to live a happy life. So let's help. If we can help our brothers and sisters, we should not be contributing towards the suffering. We should be able to help them live a happy life.